say smile to an innocent child. Visit www.imamhusseincharity.com.
To Ahkam SOS, a show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We're taking all of your questions, so if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp number, should be there on the bottom, QR code right there. If you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube, you can put your questions in the comment section. If you'd like to call into the studio, 0203 515 0199 if you're in the UK. And if you're outside the UK, you can use the WhatsApp number to call in, inshallah. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah. And joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'a. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikhna, we are currently in the month of Rajab. And we've discussed before as well, there's loads of amal, there's loads of, da'as to recite. We have birthdays, we have wiladat, we have istishhad as well, and so forth to commemorate. It's a very, very blessed month. Can you give us a hadith or something to, about this holy month of Rajab?
إن شاء الله. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. We have a narration from the Imam Abu al-Hasan Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, the seventh Imam of Ahl Bayt, in which his martyrdom is in this holy month of Rajab, 25th of this month, in which millions flock towards the Kadhimiyya, the shrine of the Imam in Baghdad. The hadith says, which is from Kitab Man La Yahdharuhu al-Faqih, one of the main 4 books of the
Sheikh
Shia.
Saduq, yeah? I believe.
The hadith says, Rajab nahrun fil Jannah. Rajab is a river in paradise. So one of the meanings of Rajab is a river or a stream in paradise. أشد بياضا من اللبن. It's whiter than milk or yogurt, let's say, because leban, it could mean milk in the old days. So it's whiter, or brighter than milk. وأحلى من العسل, and it's sweeter than honey. But who is it for? For those people. فمن صام يوما من رجب سقاه الله من ذلك النهر. The one who fasts just one day of Rajab month, Allah will give him and quench him with this the drink of the paradise, which is whiter than yogurt and milk, and sweeter than honey. So for those who fast at least one day of this month of Rajab, which is a Ashhur al-Hurum, one of the recommended months for the Umrah, one of the recommended months for the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, inshallah.
Inshallah, ahsant. Brothers and sisters, now is the time to send in your questions. If you have any questions you'd like to send in, please send it in via the WhatsApp. The QR code should be there in the corner. If you want to call in, 0203 515 0199. If you want to call in from abroad, then call in the WhatsApp number. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, just put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah, I will be able to answer them with the Sheikh. Right, we've got questions coming in already, Sheikh, now from WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Is there anything wrong with saying good luck to someone?
Well, some ulama say that there's no such thing which is called luck. It's my luck that I've got this job, for example. It's my luck in which I've been in this state, for example, positive or negative. If you do good things, as the Quran says, it's from Allah Azza wa Jal. But if you do bad things, it's from yourself. بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ. So we have to go back to what the Holy Quran said, what the narration said about our fortune or about our deeds. uh, as you mentioned, luck, for example, which seems to be doesn't really exist. You know, if I create that, let's say, luck as a result of my bad deeds or good deeds, for example. You know, bad intention, bad planning, for example, or the opposite. So this is how it works.
Fair. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
So,
How can I choose marja al-taqlid if I have no Shia relative to follow?
the best thing is to ask Maulanas or ulama that you know them locally, for example, or even abroad. You call back home, for example, the ulama. Asking friends, relatives, those who know the ulama, who can define who is the most knowledgeable a'lam, for example, and you choose a just marja and follow him, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and Sayyid. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How do I pray sajda shukr in the best way? Sheikh, are there any mustahabat to add to the sajda shukr as well? Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, I mean, you can say, for example, shukran lillah.
Shukran.
Yeah. There's a dhikr mentioned for the sujood. I think this is for specifically for when you recite the wajib sajda verses in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Alaq and so forth. So when you go to sujood, you say, La ilaha illallah haqqan haqqa, La ilaha illallah imanan wa tasdiqa, La ilaha illallah ubudiyatan wa riqqa. So, I mean, you can say any dhikr that comes into your mind. You know, tasbih, dhikr, dua. We have a narration that Imam Hussein says, Salaamullah alayhi, that I've heard my mother in one of these, maybe Friday Eve, like Jum'ah, or other nights, she was in her sujood mentioning the names of people who are in need, let's say relatives, friends, neighbors, those who are in need, for example, dua for them, but she never recited dua for herself, that, oh Allah, give me something, you know, making better, for example, and so forth. So all her dua was for others.
Yes.
Then she said to him afterwards that, you know, a-jar thumma ad-dar, neighbor first before your home. So she was teaching in overall the mu'minin and mu'minat that to think about others before you think about yourself.
Ahsant. From YouTube, can women dance together with music, and when does music become haram?
Well, number one, the fatwa today by the ulama that women cannot dance with women, even if there's no men in that venue, in that majlis. So that's forbidden. The only option or the only exception is the husband or the wife, they both dance with each other in a secluded and isolated private place.
Okay.
And then you have music which is forbidden, haram is to play the music in such venues again.
From YouTube, how many children did Prophet Muhammad have adopted nurture? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
This is a discussion between the ulama that some
We
would
know,
say...
We know there's one biological daughter
Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha,
and two sons which passed away very, very young in infancy. There is some that say, have an opinion that no, the Prophet had 4 daughters. Shia ulama, some scholars say no, he had 4 daughters, not 1. Some say no, there were 3 adopted. 1 was biological and so forth. So are these the main ones? The 4 girls and 2 boys?
Ruqayya and Zainab and I think the other 2. He had Tahir, Qasim.
Qasim and Ibrahim.
Ibrahim from Mari al-Qabtiyya.
Okay.
So yeah, they all died. I mean, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, Ruqayya and Zainab and I think Kulthum, if I'm not wrong. So anyhow, they all died, and Fatima salamullah alayha remained alive until he passed away sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And from YouTube, is the qunut in Salat al-Shukr? Qunut, I believe, is mustahab, and it can be in any salah.
Yes.
you have to do the aqama. You cannot do the aqama without the adhan.
No, what the ulama say that if you cannot do the opposite or you swap,
Okay.
you can't start with the iqama and then say the adhan. It has to be in this order.
Okay.
So if you recited the adhan, then it comes afterwards the iqama.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What are the signs of black magic done on someone and how can it be gotten rid of? Sheikhna, we always get these questions and we always have to mention as well that black magic in our community is very exaggerated. 9 times out of 10, there's no black magic being done. And even if there was black magic being done, it doesn't work. People actually don't know how to do it properly. But Sheikhna, how does someone know black magic has been done to them and how do they get rid of it?
I think initially they have to go back to medical experts to find out what's the problem is with the individual. It could be
Mental
some
health.
kind of mental health, depression,
Yeah.
and they think that he's been possessed by
Yeah,
some
exactly.
aliens, let's say.
It's over exaggeration and ignorance to mental health.
And then the next stage or the second stage is, of course, ad'iyah, dua, ta'weez. They write dua, Hizm Muhammad Jawad salamullah alayh, to wear it, for example, on your neck, for example. And tawassul بأهل البيت عليهم السلام their majalis, inshallah.
Inshallah. Is it permissible to enter the bathroom with jewelry that has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name on or the ma'sumin? This is from YouTube. I think this came on Monday as well, Sheikhna. I have a necklace. I might have Ayatul Kursi on it. Or I have a ring. Sometimes the engrave of the Imam's names. Maybe some of Allah's names. Am I allowed to enter the bathroom with these on?
I think I've mentioned this last time that one shouldn't breach the sanctity of these holy names. So no impurity should be contact with these holy names, for example. That's the shari hukum. Otherwise, you can't take them with you in the bathroom.
I see. Sheikh, more questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum. This is from WhatsApp. What is the ruling for praying the daily prayer without intention?
You see, the ibadah, when we say these are worships, they must be with intention. You cannot observe and perform an ibadah without intention. Even when you go to the Hajj, which is a more practical ibadah. When you wear the ihram, what do you say? أحرموا لحج التمتع إلى آخره قربة الله تعالى. Even in Hajj, you have to make this intent. I mean, you wear just 2 pieces of cloth, of towels, big towels. You know, you have to say the intention that this is for the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal. You have to have this niyat al-qurba, you know, getting near to Allah Azza wa Jal with intention of nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal. Without this intention, what you do or you did before is all exercises. It's just going up and down. It's not actually a salah. So one should pray with the intention of salah.
Fair. More questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can I follow a prayer leader if I do not know that he is Adil? I am a Muqallid of Sayyid Sistani.
I mean, the Sayyid mentions that you must achieve or establish his just and adala. Without this, you cannot pray behind somebody or you don't know. That's why we have to make sure that we know. I mean, you don't have to go through into his CV or his biography. You just ask the mu'mineen behind him, who is he for kada. Or you can ask somebody who knows that Maulana, for example. If he's just, khalas, you can pray.
Fair. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I want to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the lesson contradicts with the time of prayer. What do I do? Sheikhna, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or whether it's going to the gym or you want to learn something, you have an appointment, you have a class in Arabic, you want to learn how to do hairdressing, you have an appointment with the doctor, with the dentist, with those who, you know, make your passport and so forth. It conflicts with the time of prayer. What should one do?
I think one should pre-plan this issue, and before you make any appointment, for example, check the time of the salah. That doesn't conflict with the time of salah. Sometimes you're compelled, you know, you're in a, let's say, lesson or something, exam. You have no choice, you know, it's an exam, it's a major exam, let's say GCSE or A-levels. You have no other option. But sometimes you can you can pre-plan, reschedule, for example, your appointments, for example, to make sure it doesn't fall in the salah time.
Would you recommend that, hold on, you've got plenty of time to pray your salah, go to your lesson and pray after? It's not going to go qadha. Would you recommend that?
I think he or she is emphasizing on praying on time.
Uh-huh.
So they like to pray on time, with the adhan time, which is, of course, the most recommended to be done for the salah, rather than delaying the salah.
Also, Sheikhna, I'm sure if any lesson that you go to, especially if you pay for it, they do not mind giving you a 10-minute break to go pray in the corner and come back to the lesson.
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, they have no issue with it whatsoever. Exactly. Otherwise, you can go somewhere else. Okay, YouTube, can you shed some light on nafila prayers? Can it be done any time, or must it be with wajib namaz? That's a really good question, Sheikhna. So, we know that 17 rak'ah is wajib.
Yes.
And then, hold on, my math is correct. 44 rak'ah are the nafila. We have 2 before Fajr. I think it's 8 in between.
8 by 8, yeah.
Is it in between Dhuhr and
Dhuhr and
Asr?
Asr, before, yeah. 1 before, 1 after.
Okay. And then there's 2 before Maghrib. And there is 1 after Isha, or is it 2 sitting down? Something
that's
like this.
There's nafila between Maghrib and Isha. Nafila between Maghrib.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then there's the 11, of the
in anyhow, of course, they have to be prayed with the salah time.
Uh-huh.
So the nafila dhuhr, asr, and so forth. But for the nafilatul layl or namaz al-shab, of course, you can pray it straight away, as I mentioned. After Isha, you have got all the time till just the Fajr time.
Okay.
So you got that 6-7 hours. You can pray any time.
So why is the emphasis on after midnight, or of course, sleeping and then waking up for it and so forth?
When it gets to the sahar time, of course, it gets more rewardable, and of course, one can get close to Allah Azza wa Jalla in this time in which everyone is sleeping. Where everyone is sleeping, and it's mentioned in some ad'iyah that someone is, I think there's a munajat or something that people are sleeping and someone is doing tahajjud and ibadah and so forth.
Fair.
So I mean, the emphasis on the dua, salah, Quran in the sahar time, in the middle of the night, just before the adhan of Fajr.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
How do I pay zakah as an 18-year-old sister? I am to receive my first paycheck soon. Sister, I am 100% sure that you don't have to pay zakah because of the job you do. Zakah is only on crops, cattle, livestock, gold
and silver.
Silver.
Yeah. 11 items, yeah.
So it's like flour, wheat, barley, dates, raisins.
If you have farm,
cows, sheep, horses.
Anyhow, it's mentioned.
There's a list.
Types of list of
and it's mainly for them. So basically, zakat is mainly for like agriculture, where people like the lives that we live and the jobs that we do is mainly khums, mainly applies to us.
So I think
rather than zakah.
She might be trying to give the meaning for zakat, which is khumus. فإن لله خمسه, as the Quran mentions. Yes, khumus becomes wajib. Yes, if it's your first time, you have to set a date for the annual khumus day payment, and then you settle this with your marja or alim that you follow, and then you can see and can come to settlement. How much do you pay, for example? You calculate all your belongings, your income, unused gifts, for example, and give an estimate, and then pay 20% of the khumus, and that's it.
Yeah. More questions coming in. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Which surahs are mustahab to recite in salah? We were always told in the first rak'ah, Surah Qadr, and in the second rak'ah, Surah Ikhlas.
Yes.
But Sheikhna, there's others as well. For Salatul Jum'ah, Surah Al-Jum'ah.
Munafiqun.
For maybe Salatul Asr or Al-Asr.
Munafiqun,
and there's more. Like depending on the prayer you're doing, if it's a mustahab prayer, there may be a surah relative or related to that salah. But yeah, Sheikhna, tell us. I mean, like for example, Salat al-Ayat, Surah Zalzala. and things like that. But Sheikh, what surahs are mustahab to recite in prayer?
I mean, it depends. The longer, of course, the better, because you're not prolong your salah. Your salah will be, instead of 5 minutes, it will be 15 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. So it's good to have longer surah, and sometimes, if you have spare time, especially in these holy months, if you can recite something longer, Surah Al-Saf, Surah Al-Jum'ah, as you mentioned. We have a hadith about reciting this surah in salah with the rewards you get in the hereafter.
MashaAllah. Sheikh, now we're going to take a short break. Join us after the break as we continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS. If you have a question, now is the time to send it. The QR code should be there in the corner. Just send in your question, and inshallah, me and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer your questions. Join us after the break.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the
established based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there
countries?
an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 09 2155.
Are you in court for raping English girls? Remember? You're here defending the paedophile. I'm here defending your dad. Women are here defending the paedophile. You're here defending.
We don't need a TV channel because we've got mosques.
We have Islamic centres that are always open.
We have schools teaching Islam.
Hijab is part of a school uniform.
Islam has come and it's established here in the West.
And everyone's happy.
They love us, our food,
Our fashion.
Our culture.
The media is always on our side.
We've got plenty of English speakers, plenty of English books.
And plenty of places to go and learn in the English language.
Let's be real.
Let's get active.
Be more involved.
ImamHusseinFree.tv.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures
Is
of
it
scholars at
permissible to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the graves?
established based on peace
Is
and
it permissible
non-violence?
to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there an
countries?
issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 09 2155.
Yes, you can send in your questions via the WhatsApp number. QR code should be there in the corner right now. If you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, you can put your questions in the comment section. Or you give us a call, 0203 515 0199. Or if you're outside of the UK, call on the WhatsApp number and the technical team will put you through, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu rahmatullah.
Sheikh from YouTube, Assalamu alaikum. I'm 16 and I have a small job and earn good amount of money. My family is not very religious. How do I pay khums? Now, this 16-year-old, first of all, because we were discussing this in the break as well, Sheikh, khums is paid on a yearly basis. But you were saying some really good things as well, about maybe doing it monthly, even daily. Can you please elaborate a bit? And how can this brother or sister pay khums?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I mean, the Sharia made it easier for the mu'mineen to set a date in the year and then eventually pay your khums after you've spent all expenditures during the year. What is left over surplus, you pay the khums. Otherwise, ma ghanimtum, the Quran says, whatever you gained, profits, income, and so forth, you pay khums on it. But the Sharia made it easier for us so that we can pay it on the annual basis rather than daily basis, which is very difficult. That whatever you get daily, you take out 20%. Pay. It's like tax system, VAT. Whatever you buy, there's automatically 20% or 70%
That's the other thing
taken away.
Sheikh, is that khums isn't a flat tax. It's on your surplus.
Exactly.
So anything extra you have, it's on that. So let's say I know my expenses for me to live a nice, comfortable life. I need, for the sake of the argument, £1,000. So then, if I've made 1,200, 1,500, the khums is just on the 500, on the 200 extra. It's not on the whole amount. Is that correct?
Because you paid it last year, let's say, for example. It depends. If you paid the khums for as you mentioned, that figure, the next year you don't have to pay on that. So whatever comes on top as surplus, you pay the extra money gained, unspent, extra, you pay khumus on. So it's, I mean, for the brother, he needs to basically set a date and start paying khumus gradually.
I do my birthday, by the way, because it's nice and easy to remember. I know as soon as my birthday comes, I got to do my khums calculations. From WhatsApp, the people residing in Europe are of different faiths, nationalities and religions. Why and when we buy moist or wet food items, the shopkeeper may touch it with his hands. Since we do not know his religion, can we consider the food as pure?
We have this ruling or basis that كل شيء لك طاهر حتى تعلم إنه نجس بعينه. So everything is pure unless you're certain that it's najis. Yes, if I know this individual, he is from the those who worship idols and so forth, mushrik. Of course, if he touches and there's a cross-contamination of moist and wetness, of course that product or item or even my hands will become impure and najis and have to purify it.
Speaking of, najasa being transferred with moisture and so forth, a dog licking you is the most common example we have when it comes to in Hausa and when teaching children about najasa. If a dog licks my trousers, how do I purify it?
It's just water. You
just
you
pour
open
on
the
top?
tap water, running water. You just wash it and that's it.
Okay, for just one time?
Yeah.
Nothing about 3 times pouring water on it or this or that? Or?
That's to do with the ma'ul qalil. If you have little amount of water, water in a jug, for example. Then of course you have to do like 2 or 3 times. It depends on the type of the najasa.
But with tap water, just a good wash.
Squeeze it. That's it.
Nice. From YouTube, Salaam alaikum, Sheikhna. How do I pay zakat if there are no homeless people in my area? Once again, zakat doesn't. Well, there won't be any homeless people if you're living on a farm, which is what zakat is actually on. So let's change it to khums. How do you pay your khums?
As you just said now, that you have to set a date during the year. Let's say 1st of the month of Ramadan.
Yes.
Or 10th of Shawwal, whatever date you like. And then you start calculating your money, dwellings, whatever you have gained or you own, and you pay the khumus on those stuff which are not being paid before. And then for the next year, whatever you gain, extra surplus, you pay only on those amount in which you've gained newly.
Where do I pay the khums? So I've calculated, and I've got the money ready. Now where do I go to deposit it?
Okay, the khumus divides into 2 parts. The payment of the khumus. The first part goes to the Sahmul Imam alayhi salam.
Yes.
And the Sahmul Imam salamullah alayhi means that you spent on building hospitals, let's say, orphanage, Hausa students, you pay them, Husseiniat, whatever is something reasonable for the human cause, for example, that goes to this side. And you have the second portion is Sahmus Sada, the poor Sada Sayyids who are from the descendants of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They get the portion as well. So they don't get the zakat because that's haram. The zakat is haram on the side the Sayyids who are from the offspring of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from his lineage. So they get this 10% rather than the zakat, the wajib zakat.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. There is a narration that says that the bodies of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam aren't in the grave anymore, that they are taken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to paradise. Is that true?
Yes, there's something mentioned that the body of the Ma'asum alayhi salam only remains 3 days in the grave, and then it's taken to paradise.
MashaAllah.
So yes, he would look into his grave. He would be there when you go to visit, but not literally that body that was, let's say, buried 14th century ago.
Okay.
These are specifications and exceptions for the holy infallibles alayhimus salam.
Fair. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it better to pray Maghrib on time, Farada, or 7:30, which is much later, with Jama'ah? Good question. Right, Sheikhna. As you are aware, here in the West, people are working and they finish their shift at different times. So the mosque will create a time which is suitable and more people can attend for Jama'ah Salah. It might be half an hour after Adhan, an hour after Adhan, maybe even 2 hours after Adhan. But it's there so that everyone can come congregate and there is a nice big group of people to perform Jama'ah Salah. Is it better to do that or better for me to pray on time, but I pray by myself?
I mean, the narrations emphasize on praying on time. I mean, even some narrations mention that they would compare that praying on time compared to the one who prays late is like a little bird with a camel size. So it's like the reward of you're given the reward of a camel size compared to a bird size.
Yeah.
So praying on time is something recommended a lot. But I think they have to reschedule the timing in terms of praying, especially the Maghrib. Maghrib is different than Dhuhr.
I mean, here in London, Maghrib is at like, what, 4:15, 4:10. Most people won't be able to make it for Jama'ah.
I mean, most of the Jama'ah prayers in our masajid around the world, in the holy shrines, they pray on time, after the Adhan, straight away. That's how it works. To delay it, I don't...
Maybe move to a Muslim country. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I was raised to believe you cannot recite Quran, Nasheed or anything with Allah's name in the bathroom, but let's find out you can. Where does this belief come from? Are there any hadith? Sheikhna, dhikr, especially Quran, can be done anywhere, even in the bathroom. Now, I heard from a scholar that even when you are, going to the toilet, when you're when you're squatting, and you're actually pushing your waste out of your body, even then, you should be remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so forth. It is quite recommended to do so. So, can we recite, Nasheed, Latmiyat, Quran inside the bathroom?
I think if you go back to some of the akhlaqi books that talks about the etiquettes of some of the acts, especially the worship acts, you'll find that they would mention that even when you go to the bathroom, there are dhikr to be said. As you mentioned, in that state, to say, for example, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. These are Allah's blessings on the humankind, humankind, in which one is able to relieve himself in this way. This is Allah's creation, blessing He gave us. So we thank Allah Azza wa Jal. Even in that state, I think there's a narration which I mentioned before, could be a hadith Qudsi, that Musa alayhi salam said to Allah Azza wa Jal that, can I mention you the dhikr in that state, in that place? So Allah said to him, remember me at all times, ala kulli hal. So just mention my name. So as long as the sanctity is not breached in other ways, as I've mentioned a couple of minutes ago, to make that name of Allah najis, na'udhu billah, with the najasa, that should be fine.
Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that we have probably about 5 to 10 minutes left. If you have any questions you'd like to send in, please send them in now. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section. You can scan the QR code, go straight to the WhatsApp page, and you can send in your questions via WhatsApp, or give us a call 0203 515 0199, inshallah. From WhatsApp, Sheikh, now, where is the evidence from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam to pray on time, if possible, and what are the consequences of late or on time as advised by them?
One of the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, on his deathbed, when he gathered his sons and other members of his family, and he said to them that لا تنال شفاعتنا مستخفا بصلاته. My shafa'a and intercession would not be attained by those individuals who take the salah lightly. And one of the signs or one of the means of taking salah lightly is to pray it late. I'm going to go back now. I prayed just 10 minutes before midnight. Or I'll pray it half an hour before sunset or sunrise, and so forth. Taking the salah lightly, to pray it so late, just because I don't like to pray on time, or I'm too busy. The Imam says that shafa'a is based on for the one who prays on time. And other hadiths, not just this one, other hadith that backs and supports the issue of praying on time. And even the Quran, أقم الصلاة mentions 3 times. So وقرآن الفجر, which means أذان الفجر. That أقم الصلاة, pray with the Quran al-Fajr, with Adhan al-Fajr. Not with sunrise or before sunrise.
Wow.
So even the Quran mentions three timings, the Fajr, Dhuhr and Maghrib as well. يدلوك الشمس. Yeah. So it's very clear that even the Quran backs this issue, that praying on time.
Inshallah. From WhatsApp, is it permissible to say Allahu Akbar audibly to alert someone to something? So I remember some people used to do this. They'll be praying, maybe a toddler or a child will come in the way. They're going to pick up the turba or something, and then they'll be like Allahu Akbar, as in grab this kid or something like that. Are you allowed to do that?
In Salah, you can say 3 things or mention 3 things. Dhikr, as you mentioned, Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. Quran, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You can say it. We say it, for example. And instead of Ameen, as Ahlul Sunnah say, we say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen after the end of Surah Al-Hamd.
Yeah, when it's completed.
And number 3, dua. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا. These 3 things you can say it in Salah. So, yes, you can say Allahu Akbar, which means you're actually saying a dhikr, tasbih, and subhanallah, la ilaha illallah, and so forth.
From WhatsApp, would the salah become invalid if the place of sujood for the prostration of the forehead was najis?
Yes, indeed. The place of the sujood must be pure and tahir. So if there's a najasa, blood on it, of course, you have to wash it and dry the turba, the muhur, and then pray on it, or just change it with another muhur.
From WhatsApp, what is the ruling of one who lives next to the mosque? Is it mandatory for him to pray in that mosque?
It's recommended highly for the
Isn't there 40 houses or something?
For the one who lives nearby or in the neighborhood of a mosque to pray inside the mosque, unless the one is ill or other issues involved in which he can't go out of the house, disabled and so forth. But the recommendation is to pray inside the mosque.
Another one here. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is clapping permissible in a men's gathering if it is not accompanied by singing?
Clapping is allowed in the majalis of the khushhali and farah of Ahl Bayt. يفرحون لفرحنا, as the hadith says. But of course, it shouldn't be replaced with dhikr or salawat. Some centers in the world, they wouldn't allow for clapping at all. They say it's against the sanctity of the place, of the mosque or Imam Barga or the Husseiniya. So they would give them, for example, flowers or bunch of roses. They would give it to people to raise it instead of clapping, for example, or to raise their hands and wave with the reciter. But Shar'an, it's not forbidden. You can clap.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. How can you remove doubt and waswas, for example, in your salah without overthinking? Right. If you have doubt or waswas in your salah, 9 times out of 10 it's because you lost concentration. There is a lot to remember when you are praying. There's a lot of dhikr, what do I need to recite next? Which rak'ah am I in? And so forth. I find it very, very easy to focus when I am trying to understand what I'm saying. So I'm reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. I'm in my mind, I'm going through the meaning in my head. When I go into ruku, sujood, the dhikr I'm saying, what am I glorifying? Who am I glorifying? What am I saying? So you stay focused rather than you're just reciting like a parrot and your brain goes somewhere else, and then that's when you forget, where am I? What stage of the salah was I in? What was I reciting, and so forth. But Sheikhna, doubts and waswas in salah.
Well, if it's repeated 3 times consecutively in the salah, then one should ignore it. He becomes or she becomes kathir al-shak, frequent doubt. When it happens in salah, then you have to ignore it and just go on with the salah and just carry on, leave it, because this is part of the shaitan, as hadith mentions.
Also, Sheikhna, when we're praying and I'm in my 3rd rak'ah, and then I think, did I recite this in my 2nd or not? we've already moved on.
Exactly.
We've gone to another stage.
Exactly.
Do I need to worry about that?
No, you have to ignore it.
Fair.
If you're in tashahhud and you think, well, did I recited hamd, for example, or you just have to ignore it. Just carry on with the salah.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it permissible to say Ya Ali in salah? Saying Ya Ali in salah, I'm not sure. But the dua Nadi Ali, you can recite in qanut, you can recite in the last sujood, I believe.
The salah is basically, there are specific rules for what can be said in the salah. So you can't bring, for example, as you mentioned, Ya Ali in salah, you cannot. It's dhikrullah azza wa jal. Salah is for Allah azza wa jal. Yes, you can say Ya Ali outside the salah, in your ad'iyah, dua tawassul, Ya wajihan عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله, and so forth. But in salah, you have to follow the procedures as mentioned in the salah, what to say.
Sheikhna, we've got 2 questions left there from WhatsApp. Inshallah, we'll have time for them before we end. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna and Haji. Alaikum salam. What's the ruling on praying Jum'ah with a Sunni person who is leading prayer? Is it better for me to pray on my own? 100%. You cannot pray behind the Sunni. Sheikhna, can you please confirm?
I think we mentioned a couple of minutes ago that one of the conditions of Salat al-Jama'ah, to make sure that the Imam you pray behind is adil and just.
Yes.
Even if he was a Shia Imam, you have to somehow find out if he's just, adil, he doesn't commit major sins.
Yeah.
Then you can pray behind him. Otherwise, you can't pray behind him. Even if he was a Maulana, a Shia, a Sayyid, you can't pray behind him unless you attain his adala and that he's just. Let alone if he was a non-Shia, you can't pray behind him.
And final question from WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum. I have a question. When reciting Tasbih al-Zahra, should I say Allahu Akbar min an Yusuf? Allahu Akbar min an Yusuf, as told by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, as it is better to say that than just Allahu Akbar. Because Allahu Akbar means God is the greatest, but the greatest has limit, and it's meant to be God is greatest beyond the sifat that we can give to him. So in tasbih, should we say Allahu Akbar or should we say the whole dhikr?
We stick to what has been mentioned in the narrations, that you say Allahu Akbar 34 times and so forth. Stick with the narration. Don't add or subtract yourself. Ahsant.
Thank you very much, Sheikhna. That's all we have time for. And thank you for all the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't answer your question, we do apologize. Inshallah, they'll be rolled over to the next episode, which will be on Monday here on Imam Hussein TV. Now, if you have a question you'd like to ask, please scan in the QR code or just take the WhatsApp number and send it in. Maybe you're watching this now. Maybe you're watching this at another time. Maybe you're watching this following year in 2025. Still, type your question into the WhatsApp number and inshallah we'll roll it over to Monday's episode, inshallah. 7 p.m. here on Imam Hussein TV 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV, you are watching the late night show with myself, Ali Fadl, as your host today. Ahmed, how are you, bro? How's things? You okay? Good to see you, bro. Please take a seat, take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. Someone is a chicken. Put your hand in it, put your hand in it. One day a man actually came seeking the aid of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. The producers are telling me to feed you, so...
That used to drive me crazy. This was probably the biggest reason why I left.
That was really difficult. Really, really difficult.
Actually, I was speaking to him about Islam and Christianity in the Middle East.
Whoa, you looked ugly, don't worry, I'm making you look nice. And I said to him, it's my wedding day, like, could you not have chosen? ladies and gentlemen, we knew how, or how he or
I am the partner of the sun, for he bows his head each night, so I may breathe. I am the resplendent sterling silver orb, accompanying the earth in unwavering loyalty. I come out at night to guide your steps. I listen to the lonely who share their secrets with me. I am the object of fascination, the cause of many a sleepless night of serenading poetry in my praises. I play hide and seek with you, sometimes hiding behind a cloud-like veil, sometimes reigning like the matriarch of the skies. I master the oceans, making them rough then tranquil. My sirens call to them just as apparent in mankind. Maybe that is why, when people fall in love, they sometimes call that person after me. Even I have admired such beauty. The most beautiful person I ever gazed upon was a man called Abbas, the one who introduced himself on the battlefield as the moon of the house of Hashem. At first, a hint of jealousy arose in me to see him fairer than myself. But I kept looking and found my jealousy was in vain. For never was there a kinder brother, a devoted protector, and chivalrous victor than Abbas. If I had been there at the river, I would have begged him to drink. No one would have blamed you, O Abbas.